I just don't know why you hit the road, but you don't realize I won't look back when you're around. I won't think twice when you're gone. Don't hesitate to call me back, 'cause I won't be there. I won't look back when you're around. I won't think twice when you're gone. Don't hesitate to call me back, 'cause I won't be there. I won't look back. I don't know why she told me it's not your fault, but you don't realize that I never wonder what's the truth in your eyes. There's a light that makes me blush. I won't look back when you're around. I won't think twice when you're gone. Don't hesitate to call me back, 'cause I won't be there. I won't look back when you're around. I won't think twice when you're gone. Don't hesitate to call me back, 'cause I won't be there. I won't look back.
Yo, what's up? What up, everybody? Hey, Ofex, what's going on, man? I decided not to use the green screen again today, so yeah, just gonna get the full background here. K Creative here, Bamboo Solutions. Gonna be doing some SharePoint weekly newsletter roundup, so we're gonna go talk about all the news that happened over the last 7 days in the SharePoint industry. Yeah, let's get started. How are you guys doing today? What's happening? All right, let's see here. Gonna get the old email going here. Where we at? Where's my newsletter? There it is. Open it in browser. Here we go. I feel like my network's running a little bit slow today. Just got back from DC doing a little sales call. Possible new customer. Pretty excited about that one. Let's go ahead and get this thing loaded up though. Let's take a look. So this is our weekly newsletter. We put this out every Friday. It comes out about 8 a.m.-ish. You know how it goes. And then usually on Fridays I stream this at around noon. Today I got a little late start on it though because... Oh, hold on. Because I was in DC doing that call. So my apologies. Thanks for bearing with me. But we're going to get this thing going. So, here we go. Weekly newsletter roundup. You can see it right here on my screen. This is what goes out into your mailbox every Friday. It is, again, a roll-up of all the top stuff around the SharePoint industry. Everything around SharePoint, too, like anything Microsoft-based, pretty much, that could potentially touch a SharePoint site. We kind of go grab that news and pull it in. So top news stories around the blogosphere, talking about a bunch of stuff that the techies and the MVPs and the enthusiasts around the space, some of the things they're posting about, cover some of that. And then we look at some of the events going on currently, so you can stay plugged in and get connected locally if you're interested. So anyways, let's go. Microsoft starts rolling out file restore for SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. Let's take a look. As the title says, it looks like they're rolling out this file restore for SharePoint and Teams, a feature that will allow 365 admins to restore any files or folders deleted from the two services within the last 30 days. So you're getting somewhat of a recycle bin there. File restore was initially announced back at Microsoft Ignite last fall. It should be an important selling point for 365 going forward. Files restore is now available for SharePoint document libraries, protecting your shared files in SharePoint, Teams, Outlook groups, and Yammer groups connected to Office 365 groups. Uses the same recovery capability that protect your individual files in OneDrive for Business. So files shared on Microsoft Teams also leverage SharePoint document libraries, which means that IT admins don't have to deal with separate storage containers. That's pretty useful. To access the new feature, your admins will need to click the gear icon in SharePoint, select Restore this library, then select a date range and the files that need to be restored. So Microsoft is currently rolling out Files Restore to targeted release organizations, and the company expects the new feature to be available on all customers by the end of next month. Boom, File Restore. A little bit of protection there, huh, from accidental deletions and unintended consequences of that. So what's next? April 2019 updates to SharePoint News. What's this? What do we got? SharePoint News helps you enhance communications and engagement with employees and stakeholders. Here are the latest enhancements for pages and news in SharePoint. We got audience targeting starting April 2019 for news and pages. That's awesome. I don't know if you guys have been using targeted audience in your environments in the past, in your on-prem environments, but that was always super useful. But now it looks like we're going to be able to filter that content down in your SharePoint News web part. That's going to be pretty sweet. Email notification for engagement with news and pages. Don't know what that means. Let's go check it out. Organization assets and call to action links in the Hero web part. Let's see what we got here. SharePoint authors, you're going to receive emails with comments, replies, and likes. That's pretty useful because a lot of those things just kind of go unattended, unwatched. So now you're going to be able to catch who's sort of actively engaged in your content and be able to respond to them. That's going to be useful. Digital assets can help you tell a more dynamic story, which is why SharePoint pages already support images and logos from web search, file upload, and site assets. Organization assets let you register one or more document libraries for your PowerShell as a special source for images such as photos and logos across all sites. That's pretty useful too. Organizational assets. Call to action links for the Hero web part, sharing and more. So now you, if you're using the latest version of the Hero web part on SharePoint, authors can add a link to content and an additional call to action link that displays on the tile. Nice, more control. That is something that I'd had to pretty much write JavaScript solutions to do in the past, but now look at that, out of the box, get to sort of control all of that experience in that Hero web part. Pretty sweet. Microsoft starts rolling out Google G Suite to Office 365 migration tools. So they promised automated tools for migrating users from G Suite to Office 365, and they're rolling it out over the coming weeks. At the end of 2018, Microsoft's officials said they're working on a Google G Suite to Office 365 migration experience. I wonder how often that happens. That would be ready for or by Q2 2019. As of this week, those tools started rolling out with full availability promised over the coming weeks. Microsoft's documentation page entitled Perform a G Suite Migration notes that in order to perform a staged migration, users must have Office 365 directory synchronization set up, or they will need to manually provision all of the mail users outside the migration process. That could be an undertaking depending on how large your org is. And its frequently asked questions posted about the migration tools. The Exchange migration team answered questions about commonly used terms. Let me mute this. Come on, guys. Don't give me web pages with sound. There's an overview of the process using one of Microsoft's favorite fictitious companies, Fabricam, as part of the documentation. Nice, nice. There's also an introduction to Exchange Mailbox Replication Service, MRS, which handles mailbox import, export, migration, and restoration for 365. All right, what else? Google already has an Exchange migration tool, and while there already is a way for admins to migrate IMAP mailboxes from G Suite using migration endpoints, this option doesn't migrate contacts or calendar items in an automated way. Good to know. Good to know stuff there. So if you're a consultant and you're helping a customer that's currently on the G Suite migrate maybe over to Office 365, looks like there's some tools now for you. Azure Sentinel, Microsoft's thoroughly modern SIEM. What is an SIEM? It is the Security Information and Event Management. So, the new cloud-hosted Security Information and Event Management service rolls out in a public preview. As infrastructure gets more complex, managing security becomes a significant issue for show. Let's see here. That right time information model is... mute, guys. That right time information model is critical, and it needs tooling that can bring all these information sources and events into one place. Security Information and Event Management, SIEM, is a rapidly growing part of the enterprise security market. Building and delivering smart security dashboards that analyze and prioritize these messages using a mix of log file analysis and machine learning. Boom, boom. Introducing Azure Sentinel. It's an approach to modern SIEM, working across on-prem and in-cloud infrastructure. It's intended to be easy to set up, low maintenance, easy to use. By building on cloud-scale data collection and on Microsoft's own threat detection tools, Azure Sentinel can automate response using orchestration across your entire estate. It's software as a service, so it's scalable, and you only pay for the resources you use. So how do you get started with it? Add Log Analytics workspace to your Azure account. Once that's up and running, you can enable Azure Sentinel from the Azure portal. You'll need to add a workspace, which is where all the data associated with your subscription will be stored. And you can have multiple workspaces in an account, but each workspace is isolated. It looks pretty, look at that. Can't zoom in on it, but you can kind of see a nice dashboard there of some of the metrics it's collecting and presenting against. Customizing security has a dashboard creation tool where you can add your own visualizations, building queries, and using them as a source for graphs and charts. Queries are written in Microsoft's Custo, don't know how you say that, query language. So you can use tools like Azure Data Explorer to build and test new queries. As Custo is designed, Custo sounds fun. Custo, it's designed to build queries that can work across a mix of structured and unstructured data. It's an ideal tool for working across many different log formats, bringing them together in a single view. Oh yeah, man, it's getting dark outside. I think the only reason you can see me right now is because of the glow of the monitors. Using Azure Sentinel to hunt threats. With Azure Sentinel monitoring your systems, you're ready to start using it to hunt threats. With a considerable amount of data to analyze, the default queries and dashboards can't find everything. Instead, you can use hunting queries to make your own exploration with sample queries to get you started, and a query language you can use to modify existing queries and create your own. The preview for Azure Sentinel is currently free, has no SLA, although you will need to pay for some features. Azure Monitor any machine learning customization and workflows using logic apps, for example. Yeah. By building on the skills and lessons of its own security teams, the result is a set of tooling that's appropriate for day-to-day security monitoring and for active threat hunting across hybrid on-prem and cloud environments. True that. It looks really neat. I don't know much about it, but what we just read, but it looks really solid. Plugged in, has all kinds of obvious experience behind it to make it something great. Windows 10, Microsoft ditches its ancient, obsolete, expiring password policy. Organizations will no longer get a red mark for not implementing Microsoft's recommended 60-day password expiration policy. So co-founder Bill Gates, he'd been predicting the death of passwords for 20 years-ish. They're still with us today, obviously, but now the company decided it's time to get rid of one of the sillier rules that helped make passwords a problem in the past in the first place. Forced periodic password changes. Company plans to drop expiring password policies in its security configuration baseline. What is that going to do for the DoD, the governments, the organizations that just live and die by those? Are they going to be so quick to adopt that? So this is a Windows 10 thing, so potentially not, right? They may be able to stay in that legacy mode, if you will, for quite some time to come. Periodic password expiration is an ancient and obsolete mitigation of very low value, and we don't believe it's worthwhile for our baseline to enforce any specific value. Organizations will now be able to pick their own password expiration date or choose not to have one at all. When humans are forced to change their passwords too often, they'll make a small and predictable alteration to their existing passwords and/or forget their new passwords. When passwords or their corresponding hashes are stolen, it can be difficult at best to detect or restrict their unauthorized use. Microsoft's proposal follows U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST's overhaul of its guidance for password rules 2 years ago, which dropped periodic password changes. That's interesting. I did not know that NIST dropped that. That's good to know. All right, let's see what else. If it's a given that a password is likely to be stolen, how many days is an acceptable length of time to continue to allow the thief to use that stolen password? The Windows default is 42 days. Doesn't that seem like a ridiculously long time? It's not unusual for organizations during audit to treat compliance numbers as more important than real-world security. True that. Find that all over the place, don't we? All right, Microsoft adds conditional access single sign-on support to Edge on iOS and Android. Let's see here. With conditional access, organizations can limit access to Azure Active Directory connected web apps for employees only through the Edge browser, which is protected by the Microsoft Intune Enterprise Mobility Management Tool. That means third-party browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and Safari can't be used to access those apps as part of Microsoft's effort to prevent enterprise data leakage. Right. From there, enterprises can choose to grant access only to cloud resources from vetted apps and set up Intune application protection policies targeting Edge. Meanwhile, the single sign-on allows employees to log into all Azure ED connected web apps without entering their credentials each time. The only requirement is that Microsoft Authenticator app on iOS or the Intune Company Portal app on Android. These capabilities are now available in public preview. Cool beans. Conditional access. All right, Microsoft's blocking PCs from installing new Windows 10 update, and the reason is ridiculous. This seems pretty opinionated already, doesn't it? Let's see. I don't even cover Windows 10 updates on a regular basis, but I'm already struggling for creative ways to introduce news like this, so let's just get straight to it. Following the latest string of problems crippling Windows 10 PCs running antivirus software, Microsoft has warned users of a new problem that will cause the upcoming Windows 10 May 2019 update to be blocked. For now, here's how to identify if you could be affected. If you're using Windows 10, do you have an external USB drive or SD card plugged into your PC? Do you have automatic updates turned on? That likely describes a ton of people. So if you're one of them, this new Windows 10 support document is worth reading. It explains that if your PC attempts to upgrade to the upcoming Windows 10 May 2019 update, and you meet that criteria, the update will be blocked. They explained this as inappropriate drive reassignment can occur during the update if you have an external USB drive or SD memory card plugged in. Before the upgrade, the device would have been mounted in the system as drive G based on the existing drive configuration. However, after the upgrade, the device is reassigned a different drive letter. For example, the drive is reassigned as drive H. But the scary part, they added a note saying that this inappropriate drive reassignment isn't limited to removable devices. It can also happen to your internal hard drives. Yeah. They suggested a workaround is to remove any external devices such as USB thumb drives and hard drives or SD cards, then restart the update. Is there still an outside chance that Windows 10 will reassign the drive letters of your internal stuff? If not, why can't Microsoft simply suggest a documented workaround within the error message? Yeah, so that's interesting. You might want to check. Do you got any what are they called? The USB drives or SSD little memory cards plugged in? If so, and you're trying to install the 2019 May update for Windows 10, look out. You could end up with new reassigned drives. All right, last one here for top news stories. Microsoft Build 2019, the sessions to watch out for. What are they? Interested in what's going on in Build 2019? When was this posted? April 25th? I thought Build already happened. No, it's coming up. Is that right? Yeah, it's coming up. Just around the corner, you can expect to see it. What was I thinking of? I was thinking of the Visual Studio. What was that conference called? I watched the live stream. I can't remember what it was called now. But yeah, Build is coming up. Build 2019. Always awesome. Great, cool stuff coming out of there. I hope there's a Hanselman keynote or presentation, because they're always great, especially when he's working with Scott. Anyways, he's been looking through the sessions list in search of the most interesting sessions, and it looks like there are loads of them, he says. They dive into subjects ranging from Windows 10 to mixed reality. Here's a short list of all the sessions we think would be worth watching. Let's see what we got. Moving the web forward with Edge. Yep, going to talk a lot about their Chromium-based Edge browser, which I'm currently loading this through. Very cool stuff. There's the dates and some information on how to attend that one. Then we've got Fluent Design System, the journey to cross-platform. So they're going to talk about expanding Fluent to the web across platforms and more devices. Come learn how Microsoft's utilizing Fluent on their own products through shared principles, patterns, tools, and documentation. We got another one on building UWP apps for multiple devices, the Windows Insider program for devs, adaptive cards, vNext, powering the next generation of contextual user experiences. Intro to building apps for HoloLens 2 using Unity and Mixed Reality Toolkit. What else? State of the Union, the Windows presentation platform. Yep, those are the top sessions they're calling out here for Microsoft Build 2019. When's it coming on? I forget. What's the date for Build? Let's go find it real quick. It's going to be May 10th. No, that was 2017. Come on. May 6th through the 8th, 2019. There you go. Where is it at? In Seattle. All right, what's left? Okay, so that's all the top news stories today. Boom! Good ones there, huh? Around the blogosphere, let's talk about some of the things that are ongoing in the blog space. I'm already at 23 minutes past, so I'm going to try to make this quick. I may not go into each one of these independently, but let's see what we got. Why you need a custom SharePoint help site? Let's see. How do you justify that? 4 steps to a useful and efficient help site. Let's see here. Many SharePoint-enabled companies don't provide custom help sites. Governance policies, regulatory compliance guidelines, and description of updates to workflows are sent to end users as long documents in PDF format. It's neither good for document management nor for user adoption of the platform. So long documents are hard to update and people don't read them. True dat. Moreover, this also leaves other sets of information such as troubleshooting guides and frequently asked questions without a set location where everyone can find them. So, in order to satisfy those needs and to get them in a way that may be more useful, here are 4 steps to a useful and efficient help site. Develop a long-term plan, create a separate page for every help item, optimize content for web consumption, and build a site where everyone can contribute content. So try to crowdsource that internally, it looks like. Very nice. This happens to be from Asif, who is a founder at Visual SP. Visual SP does provide a product for that to help you consolidate your help and present that in a useful manner. How to add Google Tag Manager globally to SharePoint Online. Let's just look at this real quick. Looking like rain out there. First things first, before we get into the SharePoint bits, let's set up a Google Tag Manager and get everything you need. So what is Google Tag Manager? It's a tag management system created by Google to manage JavaScript and HTML tags used for tracking and analytics on websites. Okay, so here's an example of them creating a use case around a SharePoint site. From the top bar, copy the tracking ID. excuse me. How to add Google Tag Manager to modern SharePoint. Looks like they've got a SPFX solution. Okay. Open the list tenant-wide extensions, edit the G-Tag Manager item, and modify the component properties, and replace the tracking ID value by your tag that you got off the tool. And there you go. That's pretty interesting. I like that. I'd probably end up using that one, actually. Microsoft Flow Guides. Improve SharePoint Modern Pages approvals with Azure Content Moderation. Yep, I think I've covered that quite a bit. I'm going to skip on past that one. 3 ways to open a document in SharePoint and OneDrive. We've talked about that this week as well, so I'm going to skip on past it. How to search for your hub site data using the SharePoint Search API. I think I touched on this one as well. Let's see, who wrote this one? Sebastian? It is a video, how to search for your hub site data using, so I really love building search-based solutions in SharePoint Online. Something I'm doing every day is to make sure that the data shown to users is contextualized and relevant. In this video, he introduces an amazing tool to help you debug and build SharePoint search queries quickly, and then how to leverage the department ID managed property as part of your search-based solution. So it is a complete video there, but looks pretty useful if you're also excited about search-based queries in SharePoint Online. Might have a good walkthrough there for you. SharePoint problems, how to add multiple aliases to a managed property in SharePoint Search. Let's take a quick gander. This article explains how to add multiple aliases to one managed property in SharePoint Search schema management. Yes, it's possible, just a bit unintuitive. So he goes through the steps to accomplish that. Let me see here. How to add multiple aliases to a managed property in SharePoint. Navigate there, select that, search for that. After following these steps, you should have a functional configuration of 2 aliases for just one managed property. So there you go. Good post on how to implement something technical there. Read-only and document download restrictions in SharePoint Online. Let's see here. Mr. Brian Reed says, SharePoint Online, including OneDrive for Business and Exchange Online, allow read-only mode to be implemented based on certain user or device or network conditions. For those settings in Exchange Online, see my other post right there. When this is enabled, documents can be viewed in the browser only and not downloaded. So how do you do that? Well, you got to go create a conditional access policy in Azure AD. And here's how you do that. SharePoint and OneDrive wizard-driven setup. For reference, in the SharePoint Admin Center and Policies, Access Control Unmanaged Devices, here you turn on Allow Limited Web-Only Access, or Block Access, to do the above process of creating the conditional access rule for you. Okay, there you go. Another sort of a tutorial to follow and step-by-step on how to implement something like download restrictions and read-only access. Set and manage notification alerts on SharePoint discussion boards, lists, and libraries. That's easy. You just need a Bamboo product called Alerts Plus. Come on. But if you're not going that route, here you go. Looks like you can just navigate to your list, the Alert Me button there in the contextual menu for your list. Set up a new alert. Here's an Alert Me option. Set alert on this library. Create some, fill in some properties there. And choose your triggers. By Nate Chamberlain. When ribbon menu isn't there, classic mode, then you go to the library and find the Alert Me button. Boom! There you go. How to set and manage notifications. A little bit like SP 101, but that's cool. It's cool. PnP SharePoint Framework React Controls version 1.13.0 released. Yeah, I got to attend the PnP Dev Call yesterday. I was on the stream. They had their biggest turnout yet. Sounded like. Yeah, so good information coming out of there. I got to hear them talk a little bit about this. Yeah, got some new controls in there. Got progress. You got date time picker and you got a rich text control. What else? Got some fixes, got some enhancements. Yeah, good stuff coming out of that. If you're not following SPFX PnP group, get some. You need it. 3 avenues for efficiently managing your project schedule with SharePoint. Any project manager knows that as soon as their project begins, there's a need to start replanning the project schedule. SharePoint makes managing a project schedule incredibly easy. How do they do that? Simple task management with the SharePoint task list. Using the indent and outdent features, you can organize the project plan in SharePoint into a work breakdown structure to track project milestones, phases, and parent-child tasks. There it is, what it looks like. Yep, done some implementation of that faux show, but it just didn't always cut it for the tasks at hand. And yeah, for very simple implementations of project management, this worked somewhat. But when you get into other views, I think we would lose the context of that parent-child relationship. I don't know, maybe it's changed since I've last messed with it. Leverage the Microsoft Project Sync for complicated calculations. So you can open these in Microsoft Project, these task lists that have those sort of WBS implemented in them. And then you can automate key tasks with SharePoint workflows. Woo. This right here, guys, this article is it's like consulting SharePoint. Everyone has done it, right? This particular skill set. Yeah, it's implemented and utilized almost everywhere I've ever been in consulting some SharePoint projects. Fibonacci Guide to the 2019 SharePoint Conference. What do we got? 200 sessions across all things Microsoft 365 at 2019 SharePoint Conference. There's no doubt you won't be able to make them all in 3 core days of the conference. Whether you plan to be there in person or watch the keynote live, here is a Fibonacci Guide. Key Microsoft 365 sessions organized by topic of interest. Very nice. Very, very nice. I don't know. I don't think you can watch a stream of the sessions, though, right? I think you have to be there in person. But let's see what happens if I click on it. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work, Bill. Bill, got a bad link. Oh, am I missing something? Return to the original page. Is it because I'm not logged in or something? I don't know. Anyways, there's a Fibonacci Guide to the 2019 SharePoint Conference. All right, guys, last but not least, 3 minutes over. SharePoint events coming up in your area. SharePoint Saturdays galore. Doha, Chicago suburbs, Atlanta, Cologne, Durban, Montreal, London, Reston, Nashville, Paris, Madrid, Philadelphia, the Netherlands. Then you got right there in the middle, you got May 21st to 23rd, SharePoint Conference. Got a webinar coming up next Wednesday, list roll-up. Come on, come on. I'll be live online talking to you about our product list roll-up. Show you what that looks like, what it can do. And that's it. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for jumping on. Sorry I had to start a little bit later today, but, got to go to work too, If you got any questions, sales@bamboosolutions.com. I'll be here for you. I can answer all your questions. If you have any recommendations or feedback or suggestions on the stream, I'd love to hear that too. Yeah, I will post a link to our weekly newsletter Roundup so that you can sign up for that if you're interested in receiving that in your mailbox every Friday to 8 a.m.-ish. Well, let me know. Thank y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. Catch you later.
Take it apart, throw it away, put it back together again. what you learn.